First of all, Germany needs to become attractive for young talent, for more workers, of course, because we have a shortage of workers, and it will make the situation even worse, right? We have aging population. I can't personally imagine our society in Germany without people with cultural background.
How did you start?
I think the most important one is, and in Germany, 60% of unicorns, they have one migrant founder in the team.
What does Germany need to become more attractive for talent?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Today in the Guten Tag podcast, we're joined by Elnura, head of operations at 2Hearts, a business community of high-potential individuals from immigrants and often unprivileged backgrounds working in tech. We discuss her professional journey moving to Europe and her transition from working at large corporations to starting her own startup. We also touch on purpose and opportunities for internationals in Germany, why it is crucial to attract talent from abroad, the importance of embracing failure as a learning tool.
I mean, it's a reality, right? If you fail, and this was for me also a very difficult thing to overcome. Of course you will fail. Nothing is linear, you know?
Yeah.
And it was something that I learned through my startup experience.
The role of mentors and role models, meditation, morning routines, and much more. And now, without any further ado, please welcome Elnura.
Welcome to the show. It's the Guten Tag podcast.
Elnura, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invite and having me here on your show.
Tell me, what does it mean to have two hearts?
Personally, for me, two hearts is being able to navigate between two worlds, two languages, or maybe 3, 4, 5 languages, norms, values. I remember how difficult it was for me when I arrived in Germany 20 years ago to kind of combine the norms and values lived by my family in Kyrgyzstan, and then to be okay with life and the norms here, because there were a lot of cultural shocks for me when I was 21, I guess, 20 years ago. Germany
what was your
also
first cultural shock that you remember?
I don't know if it sounds silly, but women walking on the street with a cigarette in her hand, super free, liberated.
Okay.
That was for me like, wow. But because Kyrgyzstan, it's changing now, but it's still a traditional country. And there are a lot of stereotypes for women, lack of liberty, lack of freedom. Therefore, that was for me a liberating thing. Of course, I got used to it. But there are a lot of other things, of course, that I got accustomed to, of course. But I had to work on my self-confidence, for example, telling my own opinion, saying no.
Okay, it's also there in the traditions, it's more like submissive.
Yes. So more of service, even if you don't mean it, you say yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a cultural thing, I think, that our parents also kind of put a seed in us, and we grow up like that. And even without knowing that, we reply yes, even if we don't want to do it, actually. And it's very liberating and empowering to just stand up for yourself and mean what you want to say.
Yeah, which is one of the cultural shocks for a lot of people here as well, that how direct Germans can be when they express their opinion, or in the corporate environment, also seeing a subordinate contradicting or correcting a leader. And you say that in other countries or other cultures will be like, what the boss says, what the lead says is just one direction only, right?
Totally.
I would like to know a little bit more about your story. I mean, you moved here, as you said, 20 years ago. Then you moved to the corporate world, and then you found your own company, and now you're working at 2Hearts. But I would like to go back a little bit in time. And what were you doing before you moved here to Germany?
The last location was Sweden. So Sweden was my first European country that my foot stepped onto. And I did a exchange program at Stockholm University, between my company and Stockholm University. And I went back home first after the internship, after the scholarship, and finished my degree in political sciences. And then I found an internship here in Germany at Infineon Technologies. Back then, semiconductor company.
Okay.
Now they changed their portfolio. And I did a few internships actually there in English because I didn't speak German back then. Then I started simultaneously going to, taking courses, learning German. And this is how I end up here. I end up in Germany. And I did my exam because from that exam, language exam, everything was dependent. My visa, my university, because I wanted to apply for the university to study again. Again, because my diploma wasn't recognized here of political sciences. It was just eligible for just to be able to study at the university.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this degree was from
my country.
Okay.
Yeah, it was diploma, like 5 years. Yeah, political sciences, international relations. I think it's still a problem right now. The recognition of qualifications of a lot of people with cultural background. Yeah, and I decided to study business administration. Yeah, and I passed my exam.
Yeah.
And
Where
I started
study?
working. I started at the LMU, Munich University in Munich. And then after 2 years, I changed to Fachhochschule, also in Munich, and did my degree there. We were the first ones, actually, that started a bachelor format. And it was just crazy. The aulas, they were full of students. They were sitting like
in the floor.
On the floor. And it was not very personal as well. You couldn't talk to professor. There were so many students, and it was very difficult for me to read the books, economics,
everything in German.
Everything in German. We had taxes, we had statistics, we had FIBU, Finanzbuchhaltung.
Yeah. Wow.
And a few friends of mine, we just decided to switch to Fachhochschule, which was a really good decision. Smaller groups, better access to professors. It was much easier.
We have a friend who did also the same. He was in a university, and because of all those stuff, lack of contact with the professor, he decided to change to a Fachhochschule, and it was for him much better.
Definitely. And it's still a very high quality of education. It's just a different format, and it was very helpful, actually. I already had a degree, so for me it was just important to obtain a degree in Germany to be able to work as well.
When you joined the corporate world in Germany, what was the difference in the corporate German world compared to the one of your country? Hey, liebe Freunde. Sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation, but I need a little bit of help. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can probably see the subscribe button. If you do, it would mean the world to us if you can subscribe. That's the best way to support the show. Because when you do, I can show it to potential guests and potential brands and stuff like that. And it really helps to grow the show in so many ways. Have cooler conversations, cooler guests, and it just helps in everything so much. So if you don't mind, thank you so much. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
Oh, a lot of things. Yeah. Well, I didn't experience the corporate world in my country, unfortunately, because I moved right after my studies here in Germany. And I started as a management consultant. After the university, I worked at one of the biggest customers at the bank in Frankfurt. So I was traveling between Frankfurt and Munich every week. Okay. So I was Monday to Friday staying in Frankfurt and coming back home for the weekend. I did it for 2 years. Very classical Beratung, consultancy, and mostly in IT and finances.
It's very stressful kind of lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Because you cannot build a life neither where you're supposed to be living, but also you cannot build it where you're working, right? Because you're just living in a hotel, hanging out with the other patas, I guess, right?
Yes. And that's why I started thinking, how long do I want to do it? And then I changed the company and came into in-house consulting in Munich in a more artsy environment for a 3D company and overtook there a project management office that we built across the sites, locations of the company.
As a foreign person, did you experience positive things, or there were some aspect that you thought, okay, maybe being a migrant was a disadvantage in that point? What was your experience?
I think it's all in relation, it can be understood when I compare my story with someone else's story. But I think all in all, it wasn't very dramatic, I would say. Why I say that? Because I think we live now in different society, different world. Time is changing, and sometimes when I read some kind of a bias, and then I go, oh, maybe that was some kind of this remark that wasn't really nice, like 10 years ago that I heard. But for me, it was fine, when people say, hey, you're Asian, you have such a good look, or DNA, you look so young, or that kind of biases that you hear. And I actually took it as a compliment. But sometimes it can be also considered as, hey, why are you always saying to the Asian person the same thing, But I think all in all, it was, I would say, positive experience. But I remember when it came to flat hunting or applying for a loan, then foreign sounding name is not a big advantage. And there I really tried to give either my boyfriend's name and not mine. Somehow subconsciously I knew, well, German names are more solid, more safe than my name.
In terms of loans, actually, I have the experience that because of my working area, it was easy to get a loan.
Yeah.
But because of my limitations of the visa, the period of the loan, it was always reduced to my visa. So I cannot take a loan longer than that. That it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
But in the apartments, I also understand you, because when you apply for an apartment and they see a foreigner name, they may think, okay, this person would not stay very long or may cause problems.
In an interview, you mentioned that many times you were thinking about, changing your name or using, as you said, your boyfriend's name. But after that, you said and you reflected that became, afterwards, being a foreign became your superpower. Why?
It took me years to really realize that. I think when we're young, we want to blend in, we want to perform. That's why I also traveled 2 years after that as well, like giving 100, 200%. When you live in a hotel, you don't go back home, right? So you work, I don't know, until 7, 8. And but then time changed, and somehow now in my 40s, I truly understand a lot of things, and I prioritize things in a way that my family is a priority, my wellness is a priority. But back then, of course, a lot of things were different. And coming back to your question, why superpower? Due to this changing times and due to more visibility that this topic becomes, right? I think we all need to see that our languages, our brains that can filter so many things, our adaptability that, I don't know if it's primal, but being someone from different country, coming to another country, talking to different people and switching between languages, it's actually a very big advantage. And I truly believe there is no innovation without cultural diversity, without different perspectives. So I started seeing it as an advantage. So every aspect of my life that before that I was considering as something that I have to hide, I just started giving a voice. I just started to empower the parts of myself that I used to hide. My name, my, I don't know, the inability to say no, don't stand up for myself. And as an Asian person, sometimes it's associated with more someone who always says yes, being at service. And I think within us there is a fire that wants to be also unleashed, and I think everyone wants to be heard and be understood, and only by empowering those parts and giving voice to that, I think we can be liberated and be successful and be true to ourselves.
How can we build a tech society with a cultural diversity?
I can't personally imagine our society in Germany without people with cultural background. With all this shortage of skilled workers, as you just mentioned, aging population, I think we do need to tackle all of these problems. And we start with the young talent.
Mhm.
Therefore, I represent 2Hearts, and 2Hearts is in Europe, the largest community that helps young talent with migrant background to succeed in tech space. How do we do it? We have a mentorship program. We have personal guidance, professional guidance, coaching. And I think the biggest advantage is that we empower those young people, be it students, young professionals, founders, a lot of founders as well, to tap into the network of experienced people, maybe also help them by fundraising. Without the network, I think you guys also would agree that a network plays a huge role, actually, personally, but also in a professional level. And we already have 3,000 members, 2Hearts. Everyone can apply through our website, but there are a few criteria that need to be fulfilled. One of them is your migrant background, your story, and affinity to tech. And of course, your emotional why. I think 2Hearts is very emotional topic to many of our members because of this cultural clash, because of sometimes also looking for identity. If you grew up with 1, 2, 3 cultures, it might be really challenging to kind of belong somewhere. And this was my experience when I joined 2Hearts. When I heard about this community, I think it was the first thing I said, like, finally, because I could identify myself with the mission, with people, to find like-minded people also.
I think therefore, sometimes in big cities like Berlin, I imagine the same in Hamburg, that people coming from other places, they tend to hang out with people also from other places because they have this thing in common. Like, I don't belong here. I want to belong here and find my way here, but I still have my own identity and my own culture. And even though the persons are not from the same nationality, they have this thing in common where they can connect. So we will see Spanish people with Italians and maybe Scandinavian, because they all are they have that thing in common.
Yeah. And I think sense of belonging it's very natural in human beings. We want to belong. It's just in us, in our DNA. And of course, we look up to people who look like us, maybe speak the same language. And I think if you just start even digging into different cultures within Germany, there are so many facets, so many different stories, and it's so rich, actually. We should celebrate that.
At the end, we want to be a part of a community.
Yes.
Do you live and work in Germany and you haven't done your tax declaration, the Steuererklärung? Well, stop being afraid, because you might be missing a very good tax refund. Sometimes it's difficult to understand all of these laws and everything. You might be wondering, okay, this is too complicated. Well, it is only complicated if you're not using the right tools. And therefore, I want to thank our sponsor of this episode, WunderTax. WunderTax is an online platform where you can file your tax declaration. Very simple. You just need to follow the steps, upload your documents, and then it will calculate how much tax refund you might be granted. The average person in Germany gets around 1,095 euros back. That's a very good opportunity that you might be missing out. So if you want to see how much you might get on your tax refund, go to gutentag.wundertax.de. You can just run a simulation if you want to test it. And also, that's the best way to support this podcast. So give it a try, wundertax.de. They have the website in plain English, so you will understand all the tax terminology without any trouble. So now, let's continue with the conversation.
How did you find success here in Germany? What was the breaking point where you thought, I'm going to make it on my own? And when did you also found out that you are building something that is going to bring you into the path of success?
Success, I think it's a very broad notion, and I think it's very personal. For me, of course, it started with the idea of working for myself, being able to generate revenues. But for me, impact was always played a big role. That's why both of the businesses that I co-built was connected, one with wellness, the first one, and the second with sustainability. And I think if it wasn't for sustainability, I wouldn't go into very competitive D2C cosmetic business here in Germany. And for me, it was and still is being able to change something in people's life, even if it's a small contribution. And if you look, of course, at the market, of D2C.
What is D2C?
Customer, direct to customer.
Direct to
So
customer.
Most
no
business,
middleman. Okay.
Both businesses now succeed with B2B because you can scale it super fast, but with D2C it's super difficult. Also, the mentality of the market of the German market. If you markets a product that, for example, German women should use, so you have to understand the mentality. You have to understand the problems as well. And I think it's very personal, the definition of success. And it was a very difficult and challenging, by the way, being a founder.
Yeah, tell me. You founded one which was in the wellness. Yeah. Well, the cosmetic one, I don't know so much about. So, what was it about?
It was about. I brought 3 products made of upcycled coffee grounds.
Okay.
So the coffee that we drink, we drink the coffee. The coffee grounds are usually thrown away. And they are actually very harmful if it's not recycled properly.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I was pregnant back then. This is how it started. I couldn't put everything on my skin. There were so many ingredients that were harmful. And then I discovered the properties of the coffee grounds. I used to do my own scrubs before that. And then I found a startup that upcycles the coffee grounds from Copenhagen. Okay. Also, 3 guys from Colombia, Café Bueno. They're really good. And they are now also very successful, providing also big companies with the ingredient. And then, I decided to bring it to the market. Okay. And it's face oil scrubs that are mixed with 99% natural with oils and scrub that you can use for your skin.
I think a lot of migrants have this drive for starting something, but they don't know where to start. How did you start? Where do you get funding or the materials or the contacts? That's what I think a lot of people are missing. And how did you do it?
So looking back now, I think I would even start even simpler. We had the conversation a little bit earlier. Start before you're ready, actually. That's the motto. But we were able to raise funds through our network. So I did it with my partner back then. So the first company was in tech, combining with yoga. Because after my corporate experience, I worked 6-7 years as a consultant. Then I took some time for me off. So I traveled to LA, did my yoga teacher training, Bikram yoga training. Maybe you've heard of that. And then I spent some time in Bali and Sydney teaching, just some time for myself. And this is how I came into this yoga space.
Okay.
And the idea was to create a platform for yoga practitioners to find their favorite teacher, to find their favorite yoga style, yoga events, retreats. Yeah, so that was like the main idea of it. Okay. And we started through the connections and the network that I built in the yoga world with the teachers. And then through my partner, he had access also to investors. And we pitched like in Luxembourg, as we also spoke earlier, in Luxembourg, in Germany. A lot of investors, I think all of them were male. And they couldn't really associate with yoga. The only thing they were saying, my girlfriend does yoga, my wife does yoga. And it was very difficult also to pitch to kind of that they understand the business model.
That's something that a lot of people say, that it's a boys' club.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, unfortunately. But it's changing. It's changing.
Yeah, I have seen, for example, Lea Sophie Kramer.
Yes.
She has a VC firm or angel investor firm for investing in women, for example, only.
Yes.
Because of this problem. And then when you're pitching to men only, sometimes they expect if it's a woman, then, it has to be something with makeup or with fashion. If a woman comes with a B2B platform, they maybe don't take it seriously. Yeah. And for example, we have success cases like Canva. Canva is founded by a female, is a female founder from Australia, right? So there are cases where there is the opportunity, but sometimes if it's the old school member board of a VC firm, then I can imagine how challenging that can be.
Absolutely. It's just a bias as well in their heads.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's very challenging for women to pitch, but it's changing, hopefully.
Yeah. What do most people misunderstand about coming to Germany as a young professional or as an entrepreneur? What assumptions does people make that are wrong?
Um,
Or which expectations
Yeah.
did not?
I think the most important one is the fluency in German. Even like when I come to Berlin, I sometimes order something in German and they reply in English and I
Yeah.
forget, oh, I'm in Berlin. Okay.
Yeah.
In Berlin, everyone speaks English. It's fine. But if you go to Munich, to Hamburg, the situation changes. Of course, young people speak English, but it's not Berlin. And I think when you want to work here, unfortunately, you still need the fluency in Germany, even at least the professional level of German language to be able to get the job that is equal, like to your skills, that you can also apply your skills, right? Bureaucracy, unfortunately, still. Digitalization, we are behind. There are a lot of things that Germany can improve. And the whole regulation process, I guess, can be a jungle for a lot of foreign people who are coming to Germany. And sometimes also getting friends, the social network that they always can tap into. And it's very crucial for someone who just, is new in the country and wants to establish their life.
I have heard one keynote of yours, and you were doing it in German, and I thought, wow, it sounds very fluent. How long did it take to learn like as you did?
I don't know, really. I remember I do get a lot of compliments, maybe because I was raised bilingual. So Russian, Kyrgyz, a little bit of Turkish because of the pronunciation. But because my visa was my language exam was dependent on my visa. I remember eliminating all of my Russian-speaking friends and just speaking German for a while until I passed that exam. And I think I was very strict because I needed to pass the exam. But after that, when I started studying at the university, I remember how hard it was. But I would say you need 3 to 5 years if you're really consistently learning German on a daily basis, practicing it, watching your favorite movies with German subtitles, hearing it, radio, listening, and getting your ear accustomed to it. Otherwise, it can be years, like 20 years, without proper practice.
Yeah.
That you won't be successful. It's a very difficult
language. That's the most challenging thing for many professionals. That and a lot of people come with high degrees from their home countries, and they fall into frustration that here they cannot get into the position that they want because of the lack of the language, or not having the enough skill or the level for to really do their job.
I think that's a big advantage that the new generations in Berlin for these dual nationality families will have with the kids. For instance, kids from those families will be born in an environment in which they will speak both languages and be raised also in German kind of. So if they do it well, then the kid will not just speak the language of the country, but also from the mother and from the father.
Absolutely, yeah. And this
that's
is
a huge advantage.
Yeah. And this is what we're trying now with my son. So that he
Which is also a challenge because
you
have to be very strict with that. You have to always keep it with one language for the father or for the mother.
I don't remember where I read it, but the proper way would be that mother speaks, for example, mom is Spanish, dad is German, that mom speaks only Spanish to the kid and dad only in German.
Yeah.
And they need to be strict with that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids, when you raise them bilingual, you speak Spanish, but they don't reply Spanish. They understand it, but they reply in German because of some.
That's my case.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And I have also seen the other case with another friend. His kid, he's Argentinian. His wife is Ukrainian, and the kid he speaks Spanish perfectly.
Yeah.
Ukrainian perfectly and German, because the father does not speak German. So when he replies in German, he cannot understand. He also don't speak Ukrainian, so only Spanish. And you can see how he switched the language when he's speaking to him and to her.
Yeah.
Because it's like magic how you see how he communicates and switch the languages very fast and like natively.
Yeah.
That's astonishing.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult, I think, even for kids. 3 languages, it's a lot.
Yes.
Even if kids are absorbing everything quickly, but still I think it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Good that he can master it.
Yeah.
If I speak in the morning, if I speak before the English podcast, if I speak with him for a long time, then I will have problems trying to switch back to English. Yeah.
Yeah.
In your view, what does Germany need to become more attractive for talent?
That's a very good question and very, very current, actually, and actual. First of all, Germany needs to become attractive for young talent, for more workers, of course, because we have a shortage of workers. I think by the year 2030, every third worker will be after at the age of 50.
Mm-hmm.
And it will make the situation even worse, right? So we have shortage of workers, we have aging population, and we are a little bit behind, we are behind digitalization. So I think there are a lot of things that needs to be done. I mean, I will connect it with 2Hearts, of course, empower young talent. We do our contribution, but it's not enough, right? It can be done on a higher level, like from governments, of course, empower, support young founders, support founders at all, you know. The tax regulations are very also complicated. If people want to set up a company, they have to go through the jungle of bureaucracy of all of these regulations. And they also need funds to just set up a normal company.
Also, for example, to incentivize employees or talent, you have a big problem in Germany of giving equity to employees.
Yeah.
That's a very complicated thing. And in the United States, you can give equity without no problem. And in Germany, you have the situation that if you want to give a part of equity, they need to pay taxes up front. And they have to sell right away part of the shares that they have of the company, making it very unattractive for both for the worker, for the employee, and also for the founder, because they cannot say, okay, I don't have enough budget to pay you a very good salary, but let's grow together, and I will give you X% of my company so we can grow.
Super incentive, absolutely,
And having all of these regulations make it very hard to get the best people to work for you.
Yeah, and if you look at the journey of someone who comes to Germany, right? It starts with visa. Even there can be the whole process can be streamlined. People sometimes have problems with working visa, or they wait. Of course, the process takes a long time, or sometimes they have a permanent visa. A temporary visa that also kind of decrease the chances that they will stay here. It gives them this feeling of insecurity.
Now, I'm curious about what else 2Heart does and what is the community about. So as far as you already explained, it's a community of people with migration background, professionals and founders. What does this network offer?
So we strive to make the cultural diversity more visible, and I think we should start with young people, because this is the future, and we have first, second, third generation, and I think according to which generation you belong to, your challenges also start changing, right? There are people who already speak German. There are people who are from the disadvantaged backgrounds. That's why we also go to schools, for example, and do like a half-day event where we offer workshops, bring a role model from our community who can also, tell their story and say, if I can do it, you can do it too. And, these underprivileged backgrounds, usually the families, mom and dad, they cannot say, what kind of career path you can go, what kind of jobs exist in digitalization. They need to learn it from somewhere else. And but in all, we help these young talents with access to network, to resources, career advice through our mentorship. It can be personal advice because of this cultural, differences between Germany and your own culture, to navigate also in your personal life, but also the domain knowledge. So this, for example, the mentorship program we run every year. Everyone can apply, but you need to be, everyone I mean by that, you need to be a member of 2Hearts community. And for example, this year we had 200 applications and 42 mentees were selected. So our mentoring team, all of them are volunteers, by the way. They go through each application, read their story, their needs, and they match them manually with a mentor. We have we have over 100 mentors, and they work mentor mentee. They work with each other for 6 months, and they meet.
And for example, what kind of mentoring? What kind of mentoring do they offer?
Yeah, so it's very individual. That's why I said there is a story. Like your, let's say, what do you need actually from mentorship is one of the questions when they apply. And it can be a founder, but it can be also a young professional changing careers, or maybe an aspiring professional maybe a student who just finishes university.
Okay.
And according to the life situation, the professional situation, we assign a mentor who could be, helpful for that person. And it can be, we have a lot of success stories actually that came out of this mentorship program. Like they met two co-founders, they raised capital, there was a very, helpful personal advice that they could navigate their life, or someone made an intro to someone important, opening the doors to people that they can help.
I think having the network or being connected to a network is really important, especially in the professional space or in the founder space. There's a lot of people who think talent will be enough. They would say, I will just do my work. I will let my talent speak by itself. But most of the cases, you need the access to the right people to see the talent that you have and connect you to other people who might help you out.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is this social capital, I think it's called, where you also need a network on your own. That's why independently of your age, you need to start building your network that you can tap into, be it a personal network, professional network, because you can always reach out to those people for an intro, open the door, to a possibility of some kind of an opportunity, look for advice, a mentorship. I didn't have a mentor. And that's why I'm so excited about mentorship program at 2Hearts. And I wish I had it 20 years ago, because I would have saved so much time because I paved my way on my own.
And it's very hard to get a mentor like on an organic basis, because it's not like you go with someone and you say, do you want to be my mentor? Yeah. It's like going to someone and asking them to marry you right away or something.
You need a structure for that. Yeah, I need how we do it over 2Hearts. So it's more official. They know your needs, and there is a more fruitful relationship out of this. And actually, when I joined 2Hearts, we have a Slack channel, and I think in my life this is like the biggest, but also the most engaged Slack channel, community. I joined. I introduced myself, and then I asked for a favor. I was still with my startup, and people that I don't know. That's why I like this pay forward culture. People you don't know, they just help you. They reach out, right? And I asked if they know, I don't remember the exact question, but I asked if they know someone from this company. And after 2 hours, I had 3 messages in my inbox from really interesting people who connected me to those companies.
I think there's some sort of, because people like to do good things for others and without sometimes expecting anything in return, but it's some sort of give pleasure somehow to be able to support and to see that through that connection they see you succeed, and that feels like, okay, I'm glad that I helped that person to succeed. There's like special mentality around it.
Yeah.
There's also what I find that very interesting about the community, because a lot of people, migrants, and also a lot of Europeans, they think about migrants not bringing enough to the society, or not being talented enough, or or they are not able to have success in this country. Have you encountered a lot of those testimonies on people that think that just because you're migrant, they cannot make it here?
Yeah, I think it's a very common stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you were asking me this question, I just thought, how can a migrant person show and be able to perform and show all their skills if there are so many hindrances to get integrated, to go around the bureaucracy, to get the visa, because they have to deal with a lot of things in order to get where, let's say now Europeans or those people who are saying those words, to be able to fulfill or show, to apply their skills. I think there is just a lot of work before that where they can be on the same level to start performing and I don't know, being successful. But I think the statistics also show that it's also important that 70% of unicorns in the US, they were built with person with migration background, by a woman, by people of color. And in Germany, 60% of unicorns they have one migrant founder in the team. Yeah, like BioNTech, for example, is also a big company.
Or About You.
Yeah. And I think these people first need the proper infrastructure, the proper conditions that they can show themselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look to my environment of people like Chinese people, Central Asian people, Vietnamese, their parents, they encourage to study, for example, become a doctor, a lawyer, only very like strict jobs, I would say. But some of them, they wanted to go into creative space or really like fulfill themselves in different other areas, but they don't have this opportunity sometimes to realize themselves. And that's why they do something that they don't really like, but that brings money. And and I think now we're coming to that level where we're getting a little bit more privileged, have the time, have the resources, finances maybe, to afford a lot of things. And it's changing.
Is it also in your culture as well, like that, like education, and you have to be a lawyer or a doctor or a corporate? Is that also
Yes.
like that? I heard from a comedian also, and he said, yeah, in my culture, I think he was from South Asia, I think.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, in my culture, you can only be three things. You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, or you can be a disappointment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, otherwise But unfortunately, my parents, my dad was an academica from academic space, and he really encouraged us to study, whatever you study. Fortunately, there was not such a pressure as I know from other families. But yeah, I think the structures are also important, the conditions for people with cultural background to really show, to be successful, and to be also represented. And because we also need a representation in leadership roles.
Yeah, topics that I would like to know, and since you have been in the startup environment and you have raised funds and you have done this twice, I would like to talk a little bit about raising funds for your startup. How difficult it is? How does it work? How do you get in touch into that network? How do you tap there? Where do you get started?
I think times have changed a little bit since I had my startup. Right now, with high interest rates, it got even harder to raise capital because investors, they of course want to have it safer and invest in lower risk business models. So you really need to prove at early stage that you're profitable, that you have traction. The due diligence is longer now, the expectations are higher. And I think it's also from sector to sector, and it's different. Like high tech companies, it's getting a little difficult for them to raise money, but like clean energy, AI, healthcare, I think there is a good potential. But yeah, coming to your question, it's not easy. And I think if you come with the mindset, I have a great idea and I will find an investor. You have a vision, yes, you will find an investor if you have a good idea. But at the beginning, it's going to be really hard if you don't have a network, if you don't have anyone, and if you don't have the knowledge of how to tap into the opportunity. It doesn't have to be an investor. You can also go to, government powered accelerators where you get like initial help, some finances to start off, but you need to know where to go. So, there are some help. There's some help available, of course, but I think network is very important to know who to ask for help and ask for help. That's also a very simple thing, but not everyone does it. And then it just grows from there, right? If you already have attraction, if you have revenues, then it's a big plus. Then the investors want to talk to you, eager to talk to you. Then you have a very...
Like 5 years ago, an idea was sometimes enough. I had a feeling.
Yeah. Now you have to prove it. Yeah.
I mean, I had a feeling that for Germans, failure is a very bad thing.
That's why they are so hesitating to start something until they are completely ready, because they don't want to start something if they're not sure that it will be a success because of the failure.
Yeah.
How is it for you in the community? How did they embrace, let's say, failure as an opportunity to learn something? How has it been your experience?
I think due to the mix of cultures, it's more normalized because we represent 120 nationalities. I didn't have any like personal experience where I could kind of experience it in real life with the community, but I can say that through this different perspective, through this different mindset as well, and the eagerness to adaptability, to be more flexible, because you're coming to a different country, because your brain is kind of structured in a way that you have to filter, switch between a lot of things, so you're more adaptable. I think that just helps to accept the failure as a normal thing. And I mean, it's a reality, right? If you fail, and it was for me also a very difficult thing to overcome. Of course you will fail. There is nothing. Nothing is linear, And it was something that I learned through my startup experience. Don't get too attached to the outcome. Don't get too attached to a result that you have in your head. It will never be. Almost 99% of the time, it won't be like this. You have to change. So you have to pivot, change your idea, and be more fluid and flexible. And failures, they're actually great. It's an opportunity to learn, to get up, learn, and grow.
Yeah, totally agree. And I find it like that culture of like being able to pivot. I didn't know that word actually until I started into the startup environment. I didn't know what it actually meant, that word. And I understood, okay, yeah, sometimes things, I mean, don't get married with the idea in your head until you be flexible to adapt.
Yeah.
What is the most important lesson you have learned here in Germany?
What is the most important lesson?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can reply it in Germany, but most important lesson for me in life was non-attachment and patience. Because I used to be a very impatient person. After my son was born, I had to learn it the hard way. And patience is super important. Don't get attached to the outcome. Be more fluid and flexible. and more open. Although I think I was an open person when I came to a different culture, to a different country, learned the language. I am open, but open in a meaning maybe a little bit esoteric even.
Mhm.
Open to new challenges, experiences, because it just means growth, failures as well. Because in my culture, it's also failure is not good. In a funny way, failure is you need to hide it. You have to show your best face. Don't lose face. Those kind of cultural biases we have, and I think being someone who lives in Germany and incorporates different cultures, we can take the best out of it, and be the best version of ourselves, and it's a great opportunity for that.
If you can go back in times 20 years ago to the young Elnura,
Yes.
she is just stepping down from the plane, coming into Europe, and then you managed to get into your time machine and go back to that moment. What would you tell her?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think I would definitely say to invest in herself, in myself, be it leadership skill, be it coaching, be it personal development. It's better to, invest money in books, in courses than buying, I don't know, Prada bag.
Yeah.
And go into investment. Start saving money and learning about investment at an early stage. Unfortunately, I started late.
Yeah.
But it's still never too late. And it's been also my passion since 10 years. I also, through my partner that I met, and that you can start, creating different funds for your hobbies, for travels, for your goals, setting the goals first, for your retirement. It's a different topic in Germany.
Yeah.
For your retirement, and let the money work for you. I think now we have a very good environment for that.
Yeah, about investment also something I think a lot of the time, because I very often I think I should have started 10 years earlier with a little bit of money, 20 or 50 euros per month. How much that would have compound until now. But I don't know if that's when you're young, you don't think of that. Right now, I'm thinking more in the money that I put on the retirement, and I'm thinking, how much am I going to have money for now? And it's like, actually, I want to be more secure about the future than the now. I don't know why. Maybe it's the age, or maybe it's about having kids that also say, okay, I want a safe future rather than a fancy present. That's sometimes for me the things that come to my mind.
Sorry, I have to check something from work.
Yeah, all good. But I think with the money, it's never too late. It doesn't matter. Of course, you can have these regrets. I also have, but it's never too late to start.
Do you meditate?
Yes.
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 Well, what do you think about all this whole morning routine, cold plunge, meditations, affirmations? Is it? I understand. I have never meditated. I sometimes tempted to do it, but I think it's a very steep curve to learn it. But all of these morning routine stuff that a lot of entrepreneurs set themselves, is it sometimes a lot of illusion of doing the stuff instead of doing the stuff for some people?
We need another podcast for that because I'm totally into that.
Yeah.
But I think I know what you mean. This doing because I need to do it
instead of doing stuff.
Yes, because you can read 1,000 books. If you don't do the work, it's not going to work. And I think I've been into this space for 20 years now, and I recently started really experiencing profound impact of, for example, meditation. It's a long way. And the books that I read 10 years ago, I didn't understand them. Now I read them. I don't know why it happens, but maybe it's just you need to be more consistent with meditation, right? There are a lot of studies that show that it decreases your stress level. Gratitude, not just, thank you for, I don't know, for my health, or thank you for this house. It can be also something that you're grateful for, not just physical things, you know. It can be something else more deeper. And if you have time, of course, it's great to have that routine. I don't manage to do the whole routine every morning because I have
do
a
cold
son.
plunge?
I do cold showers.
Okay.
Yeah. I do them
Good
every
work.
day. Yes.
Really? Wow.
But I've never tried the ice cold plunge
Okay.
in a way that, you know, like
yeah.
Wim Hof does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I followed Wim Hof. I found out about him like 3 years ago, and I started with the cold shower, and it's anti-inflammatory. It's good for, you know, even against cancer, for the renewal of your cells, for your metabolism. I remember when I started doing that, I started being hungry more often because it helps for your digestive system as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's great. So I would say meditation is a very good tool, and I would definitely recommend it to every founder. And it's not something voodoo or, you know, very spacey. There are a lot of teachers and meditation types out there that you can start
Have you
with.
read this book, Why Buddhism is True?
No,
Uh,
I don't know that book.
I bought that one because it goes into the journey of the author into getting into meditation,
Okay, yeah.
and explains some of the advantage of meditating, and also about the stress levels, for example. And but still not doing the stuff. Just reading the book.
Yeah.
But so a lot of these stuff, routines or practices are stuff that people have done for generations, just that right now in a secular society we have replaced them a little bit, because before, instead of saying I'm going to meditate, people would say I'm going to pray, I'm going to have my devotional to praying, I'm going to do affirmations and gratitude, and before people will thanks for the meal, or pray at night and saying thank you for the day. And affirmations also is a lot in the religious space about what I want to declare in the future, what I want to be. I declare it, therefore it's going to happen. And or also spirituality. I'm a very spiritual person.
Yes.
People say now, and before was just I'm a religious person.
Yes.
So it's like, I don't know if like the transition between or after the post-religious society into the secular one, but we still take value on those practices that come from the religion. That's what I have, or that's how I have interpreted, and therefore I think, okay, meditation is just. I was praying, and I used to do that as a kid, so therefore it should be
I understand now.
possible to do it.
Yeah. You need some kind of an anchor, right, to kind of associate, as you just did it with the example of prayer and the meditation. And I think a lot of us just for a while we just scratch the surface. Okay, there is meditation. I can sit 20 minutes and try to quiet my thoughts. Good luck with that, right? It's sometimes, though, your monkey mind never shuts up. Or I will do a gratitude journal, and then you write down those things. And sometimes you just don't notice they don't really work. But I think if you start going deeper, it's about not labeling things. Like you don't even have to call it meditation, as you said. It's just sitting there and try to be free of thoughts. But you can never be free of thoughts. They will still come. You can never shut down your mind. This is what I learned, because many people try to shut it down and try avoid the thoughts, but they will come. The only thing to work with this is say, okay, thanks, you are here. Thanks for that. Usually it's something negative, right? Our mind always talks to us in a negative way. And unfortunately, we give in to that and think we are our thoughts, but we are not our thoughts. And you can only overcome this by inviting it and say, okay, you are here, I acknowledge you, and that's it. And actually it subsides then. And the more you do it, I think the more focused you become. And I'm still learning, I'm still practicing. I meditate every day. Fortunately, I have this, I just prioritize it because, well-being is, with 40s, your priorities change.
Exactly, yeah. I also have the feeling, I mean, I'm not 40 yet, I'm 2 years for getting there. Yeah. But the consciousness about taking care of
Yeah.
yourself or myself has changed. For example, every time I'm gonna eat a burger or something like that, I think it twice, and I rather say, okay, I kind of need something healthy, not because I want it, because I know that it tastes different, but in my conscious, it feels different because I know, okay, if I do that, what am I doing to my body or to my brain as well? Because like all the fats and everything also affects the way you think.
And it's also this about the subconscious mind, subconscious perception.
Yeah.
There is a pyramid of conscious and subconscious level of our being. 95% is subconscious and 5% is only conscious. So those affirmations also only work if you kind of connect it with your subconscious mind and do it on a subconscious level. For example, if you say, I'm worthy, I'm enough, and you do it in a meditative state or before you fall asleep or when you just wake up, these are the times where your subconscious level or your space is open. And then you try to integrate it into your subconscious level. And then your body, you will start doing those things. Don't eat the burger. Don't drink the cola. Do work out more,
But that's what I find interesting about the science behind all of this practice. For example, especially meditation, is the science behind that. I like it because it gives an explanation to my religious education that I had. Because before sleeping, your prayer. And I remember how much it helped during my teenage years to pray before sleeping.
Nice, yeah.
Or why sometimes in religious spaces, well, I was raised Christian, so what in the religious space, in the Christian space, was a lot of saying they declare what you want for your life. And they would tell you because God and the Bible, but if you don't believe those stuff, the science behind it is like about the conscious and how you, let's say, trick your mind or your body into believing those stuff, then it makes sense. And then you think, okay, all of those stuff that religious people or Christians are doing or that I was doing, why it worked back then. And now everything like somehow it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just
it's very similar actually. Yeah. This declaring, manifesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, do you know Joe Dispenza? He also into this manifesting your future reality by imagining that you're already in the future. So you, for example, you want to succeed in something or you want to have a very successful podcast. So you start living in that realm where you're already successful, which is not easy, I know, but he says it's possible. And he does it through meditation practices. And he has a few books. And I think if you Google him, there are a lot of YouTube videos as well.
One of the reflections sometimes I do to myself is, and I don't know how many people might feel that way, is about when we start something, mostly we're afraid of what if it doesn't work. But sometimes the idea, what if it works, that's also quite scary because you're not familiar with that person. What if you start a business and then you're suddenly, what is the name of what's it called? Neumann? the guy from WeWork? What if you suddenly become one a guy like that? How is it going to be?
Yeah.
Am I going to get attention?
Yeah.
Or am I going to change? Am I going to become an asshole if this succeeds? And you're not familiar with that future of yourself, so you rather try to avoid it. Sometimes this fear of success is sometimes higher than the fear of failure. And because you are more familiar with the failure of yourself, you rather sabotage yourself subconsciously because you don't know what is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you need to create space for unknown. And we are afraid of uncertainty. This is like the problem number one of everyone, I guess. I know at least, to be afraid of uncertainty, of something that I don't know what will happen, right? And it's again this subconscious thing that we just talked about. And I remember the one thing that they keep repeating in my yoga teacher training back then, that people are not afraid of failure, of something that they cannot do, but they're afraid of their potential, of their own potential that they can do. And I was like, what does that mean? I never really understood it. But you're right. It's this because subconsciously we don't want to expand and we're limited. our mind is limited, and you need to give a space for, for more expansion, for abundance, and for the opportunities, because I think everyone can
Did
achieve
you
that.
ever felt afraid of success? Did you ever feel like you didn't do something because you were more afraid of what if it works?
Yes. And I think it was also like linked to my upbringing and my culture.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because sometimes you just think, hey, am I actually worthy enough for that? Can I do that? Do I believe in myself? And this believing in yourself is also the key. You really need to believe in yourself, like really believe in yourself. Yeah, not just say it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is hard to do that in the really believe in yourself. The one that really surprised me was, I mean, I know he's very polemical, but Kanye West surprised me a lot when I saw his documentary, because before he even started to do something relevant, he tells his buddy, hey, make a documentary and start filming because I'm going to be the most successful person. And he was no one back then. He was just producing for some independent, for some smaller rappers. And then he really believed himself. And every time he went to somewhere, he was saying, I'm going to be the next one. I'm going to be the next number one.
Interesting, yeah.
And I thought, okay, he believed so high in himself that he actually did it. It sounded even pathologically the way he believed in himself, but
it
was impressive to see the documentary in the first minutes and saying, I'm going to be that person. And then
worked out.
It worked out.
I don't know that. I have never watched that documentary. I need to.
It's interesting. For example, for me, at least, that was some take that I really admire. I know that he's also half crazy, so
yes, and I think you can be or have to be a little bit crazy sometimes, and because if you live by the norms, by only what's allowed, by rules are good, but
I noticed that a lot of business people, founders, I don't know if you have sat with them on the co-pilot seat while driving. Most of them, they drive super fast.
Yeah.
And it seems that they are not afraid of something. So sometimes I think maybe something is broken in their brains and they're not afraid. And therefore, when they want to start something, they just do it.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, they just go for it.
100%.
But what about the regulation or anything?
We will take care of it later. Yeah. And I know a lot of people who are very successful with that kind of mindset. Yeah. So, and I also believe in energies, in quantum physics. And I think what the example that you just mentioned with Kanye, I think there was also a work of energy that he attracted it. He believed in it. He had a vision. So he kind of created that energy around himself so that, at the end it worked out. It's something what we say, how we think. And it's actually super simple. If you think every day, you think, I'm a loser, I can't do anything, I'm not successful, I won't manage it, well, then you won't, right? But if you even train, at the beginning, maybe you have to train yourself because you're not used to it, and then say out loud or think that way, then you attract it. And I do believe in that.
Yeah. I feel like also, I mean, when I don't know if some people, they say, I'm a loser, I'm not good enough, if they say it because they want the affirmation of someone else telling them, no, you're wrong. You're better than what you think you are. And I don't know if it's that, or at least that's the case with myself. Sometimes I don't want to think about, I'm good at this. Maybe I want to say, maybe I could be better in order to hear the affirmation from someone else. No, I think
you're good.
You're good. But the thing is that when you project that you're good enough, I mean, it's like, when you want to sell something, if I tell you I want to sell you this cup is the best, and this cup is, I don't know, best material or anything, this cup here. And people, if I'm saying it honest, if I'm really believing as well that it is, people also believe it as well. People can detect if something is just bullshit. Yeah. If I'm just don't believe in something that I say. Yeah. And if, when you say the same things about yourself, or if you think that way about yourself, people can see that. And if you believe in yourself and you can project that correctly,
energy. That's the energy.
And I think also when pitching to investors, they always say it's about the founder. It's never about the idea, right?
Yeah, most of the time, investors, they look at the founding team because it's essential, crucial for the further development, of course, of the company, but also for the success, because the chemistry between them, if they fall out, how they work together, are they problem solvers? How can they adapt to difficult situations? Are they flexible enough? Super important, yeah.
I like this conversation, and I
Me too.
and I would like also to get in touch with 2Hearts. I mean, I think this is a community that can really bring a lot and connect. And I think if there are professionals and founders that are listening out there, they can go to 2hearts.com.
2heartscommunity.com. And we have some information there. It's very emotional about 2 hearts living in between cultures, identities, and there is a link to apply. It takes some time because we do read the background story, your motivation to become a 2Heart member. Please fill out each of the sections required because we get a lot of applications. We are growing very quickly, but we want to grow in a sustainable way, more healthy, so that there is, of course, a fit within the community as well. And and then we review your application. And I was actually wondering if you are 2Hearts member already or not. So you need to apply.
All right. I will. And I think you also organize events, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So people check the website. I think there's a lot of profiles. I checked the team and the mentors that are there. I think there's a lot of inspiring people.
Absolutely.
It's people that look like you. I think that's very important when you can see yourself reflected. Then you tend up to believe more.
Yeah.
Because that's happened to me when I see a movie, a very big film, and I see some Spanish sounding name. I think, oh, look.
Yes.
There's someone there that sounds Hispanic. That's cool. If that person can do it, and I can too. That's always the thing that I think that inspires.
Yeah, and this is something also with the role models that we do, that we want to increase the representation of people with diverse cultural diverse background in the leadership roles, in institutions, among decision makers. And I think it's so important if you place people who look like you, who think like you, who have the same challenges. Hey, that would be such a better place. And that's our mission, to empower young talent with cultural background in the tech scene. Apply. Happy to get your application and help.
Elnura, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. Has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Welcome to the show. It's the Guten Tag podcast.